Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 514 of Ink in Your Veins. I'm Rachael Herron, and I am so glad that you are here today as we are talking to Ben C. Davies on the benefit of writing retreats. And you have heard me talk about them on this show before, and we're going to talk about them again. We're going to talk about how they work. And we're also going to talk about the all-consuming vortex of writing, as well as the perennial favorite, battling imposter syndrome. So that's all coming up. What has been going on around here? I have been loving the contract that keeps me more away from the desk. And here is what I just realized about it this morning while I was talking to our friend and yours, Sasha Black. I realized that what the contract is doing for me, and for those of you just joining me in this, I have written myself a contract where I work shorter hours in my job because I was working too much and feeling too frustrated. I was never getting enough done. So what did I do? I limited my hours, which seems counterintuitive. However, what it has done mentally for me is it has put this limiter. I have made up this fake, false. I've made it up, but it feels very real. I have signed this document. I am happy with this document, this contract. Uh, I've it's a limiter that keeps me working a set number of hours, and it also makes me realize on a cellular gut level, everything inside me understands that I will not get everything done that I want to get done. Period. I cannot get everything done that I want to get done if I am limiting my hours this way. Guess what? I have never been able to get done what I want to get done. But without a limiter, there's always been something in my brain that says if I just work harder, if I just try harder, if I just work more hours, if I screw my intentions to I'm trying to make up some kind of metaphor here and it's not working. If I just try harder, I'll one day I will finish everything on the to-do list. With this arbitrary time box that I've set around my time working, I now know that can't be done. And it's okay. It suddenly makes it okay. No, but nothing is going to explode if I walk away from the desk and the last 72 things on my list for the day that I thought I could get done are not going to get done. They're not going to get done. I don't have time today. I have run out of time. It has made me so relaxed, too relaxed. This morning, I'm not supposed to get to the desk until 10 a.m., but I needed to talk to Sasha, and she's in Britain, so that's 7 a.m. And then I finished up doing stuff, writing stuff around that at around 9. So I had already worked 2 hours by 9 a.m. And I just decided to take, I would either start work late or get off work early by 2 hours today. I looked at my calendar to make sure that was okay. I remember seeing that there was a writing guild session on my calendar, and I just didn't go because in my head I was already taking time off. I forgot to go host the writing session that I do with Ink Village. Luckily, my assistant, Mags, who was always in there, texted Ed, who texted me, who said, "Aren't you supposed to be on a Zoom right now writing?" And I was sprawled on the couch reading Reddit super comfortably at 10:20 in the morning because I was taking a little bit more time off. I I had read the calendar and I had not parsed it. I had seen the appointment and my brain had gone, nope. So yeah, I have I have been feeling that I ran for the desk and then I did some writing. And it was great. And it was just this happy surprise. That would have been something that I would have beat myself up over in the past, like, oh, you failed. You're supposed to host the Zoom and you're letting people down. Instead, I thought it was kind of hilarious. Um, they weren't let down. They know what they're doing there. They just started writing. And I bet they chatted with each other on chat, but I can't see that if I come in late. They all know each other. We all know each other in there. They were just writing. It was such a happy thing to have happen. So I can't say enough about this contract. And if you are on my newsletter mailing list, which you probably are, you've already gotten a copy of it. But if you haven't, you could always go to rachelherron.com/write and sign up for it. And I think then you will be taken to the archives and you can find it there. It's just in the last two or three emails that I attached the contract in there. Or maybe it was my Patreon. Anyway, just email me and I can get it to you. Make sure you're on the list. Because you don't have to work full time to make yourself a writing contract. Hmm, that's a thing. Maybe if anybody's interested, maybe we'll talk about how to write that up for yourself as a writer. There are a lot of people for whom that would not work. As I have mentioned on the show, if you know a rebel in your life, or if you are a rebel in your life, don't write yourself a contract unless you want to do the exact opposite. In that case, write yourself a contract and enjoy doing the opposite. But then you probably wouldn't because you knew that you were tricking yourself. Rebels are complicated people. They are actually they're not that complicated. They're lovely, and predictable. We all are, aren't we? Uh, but for many of us, if you're an upholder, um, in the Gretchen Rubin for tendencies, a contract might work really well for you. So anyway, I've been loving it. And what else? 90 days to done and 90-day revision are open. Just go to the link in the show notes or rachelherron.com/90 days to done or rachelherron.com/revision. There are a few seats left. I would love to have you. Those are going to be starting, the classes starting in August 1st. They'll be starting 2025. This is the only time I'm teaching them in 2025. So those are coming up. All right. I think that's all I got to share. Let's jump into the interview with Ben. Here is the intro. Here's his bio. Ben C. Davies is a Californian-based author whose debut short story collection, And So I Took Their Eye, will be published by Bridge House. Oh my goodness, today, as I record this, July 17th, 2025. Congratulations, Ben. Originally from the UK, his short fiction has appeared in journals such as the Fiery Scribe Review, Left Brain Media, and Downtime Review, while his articles have been featured in Electric Literature, Work, Huck, and Lost. He serves as an editor for Ginosco Literary Journal, a member of the San Francisco Writers Grotto, and is currently at work on his debut novel, Black Sand. In addition to his writing, Davies is the co-founder and director of Studio Luce. Luce? Luce. I'm not sure how we say it, but it'll be said in the show. I can't remember. A Guatemalan writing retreat and artist residency. There are links in the show notes of where you can find that. And because it is Spanish, it would be Luce, I believe. Not the Italian pronunciation, like I said. Here we go. Let's jump into the show with Ben. Please enjoy. I know you will. I know you will. Here we go. Well, I am so pleased to welcome you to the show. Will you please share your name and pronouns with us?
Hi, yeah, well, it's lovely, lovely to be here too. And my name is Ben Davies, and my pronouns are he, him.
Excellent. Before the show started, we were just talking about where you are in California, which is very close to where I was, and I'm feel you must be going
Yes,
into spring and the good weather and
yeah, it's turned here, but yeah, we've been out here for a few years. I am originally
yeah,
from the UK,
yeah,
and kind of have been in various places around the world, but for now, we're settled in California, and
awesome.
yeah, enjoying this turn in weather.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so first, your debut short story collection is coming out in probably probably just a week or so after this releases. I know it comes out next month as we speak. How are you? I always love to talk to debut before it comes out. How are you feeling about the book coming out?
Um, Terrified and excited and all of the above. It's one of those really weird things where, I've been writing for a long time and you're craving something and kind of putting something on a pedestal for so long. And then suddenly it's like here and I'm almost don't want it to happen because you've got to really like you've got to put yourself out there and you've got to, you go on podcasts or interviews and all of these different things and it's an interesting thing to go through, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I'm really excited and I kind of can't wait to see it in print and in bookstores and all of the above.
In your hands. Do you have a launch party planned or
So I'm a member of a writing community in San Francisco, and I'm gonna
the
be
grotto,
involved.
right?
Yes, in the Writers'
Yeah,
Grotto in San Francisco,
fabulous.
which has been a really wonderful writing community. And so I'm going to do an event with them. They do kind of like a monthly event, and then I'm actually in the UK the month after. So I'm planning to do a few things in the UK when I'm back there, um, as well because family and friends are all in the UK, so I can guarantee some attendance from at least my mum.
Oh, at least one copy sold. And
Yeah.
is your publisher UK based, I believe? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, they're from the north, from Manchester. But they published a few American writers as well, or from the US, writers from
yeah.
the US. But they're based up in the north of England.
Awesome. Awesome. That is so exciting. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. May it fly from the shelves.
Mhm.
Will you please tell us a little bit about your particular writing process? How do you get it done? Where do you get it done? All of those things.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's changed a bit over the years. I also have a 2-year-old, so that's definitely impacted the writing process. There was a period before my 2-year-old was born where I could definitely really go in on the writing. But it definitely ebbs and flows according to project, obviously. I really love to write in the morning. And if I can, getting up when the house is still quiet and sitting with a cup of coffee and trying to get some words down. In terms of what helps me, music is 100% the kind of switch that enables me to write. I think without when I don't have music plugged in, for whatever reason, I just can't get words out. And
Tell
I
me about
have
the music. What specifically do you listen to? I know some writers, and I cannot fathom this, but they can write with music with words. Are you one of
yeah,
those?
no, I'm not.
Okay,
And actually,
that's madness.
I was with a writer the other week, great writer, and he was talking about his music, and he listens to heavy metal when he writes, and I was just like, yeah, for me yeah, I can't do that. Mine is generally wordless, or if it has got words, it's not it's subtle. A lot
Yeah.
of like gentle music. I have certain albums. I don't know. Adrienne Lenker of Big Thief, she has an instrumental album which
Oh, I
I
love Big
absolutely
Thief.
love writing to. Yeah,
I didn't
her
know
solo
that
stuff
about
is
that.
incredible. I
Ooh.
really love her solo stuff, and she is someone I return to. And there's other similar to her. There's one called Gia Margaret, another female singer-songwriter, and she has a lot of piano work. And I listen to her, but I always have to kind of have headphones plugged in,
Hmm.
music playing, and then I can write.
Hmm.
And that helps me kind of stay in that concentrated state. I feel like without it, I can get distracted by the world around me, whereas the music is like that. Yeah, it's the switch that enables me to go.
I think we all need to find that switch. Mine are particularly my Bose headphones, which,
Yeah,
I'm not wearing now, but this just happened to me earlier this week. Is I put them on and the document was open and I just started writing and they were on noise canceling and I forgot to put on any sound, any music or white noise. I just
yeah,
forgot. It was just even just the feeling of them. And then I reached to turn the music off and there was none. But I
yeah.
had needed that cue.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's strange how the brain works in that way that you have to have these
Hmm.
certain like almost triggers. I don't know what the right word is, but
Hmm.
enable you to do something. I think it's
And
so true.
what are you working on next? Are you working on more short stories? Are you
No, well, I actually have a novel that I've kind of recently finished that I'm pitching and kind of in discussion. Yeah, trying to get out there. So I'm really
Congratulations.
pushing the novel. And now I've actually really weirdly in the last week or last few days, I've started on another project. Um, Kind of because I I missed it.
Yeah.
I reached this
Yeah.
stage where I don't know, I had stopped writing for a few months because I finished this one project and I felt, I don't know, there was like a hole that I wanted to fill, even if it's just like, I don't know, half an hour every day, but just having something that gets the brain thinking. And it's exciting, it's exciting thinking about different ideas away from the day job. And I miss that excitement, I guess.
Honestly, my favorite thing is finishing a book, of course, but like finishing, like it's gonna go. I never have to touch it again. But my second favorite is that early stage of just everything is
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah,
you know?
it's great. It's also incredibly overwhelming when you're like, I've kind of mapped out ideas, but then you're like, oh, I've actually got to like get words down on page,
Yeah.
which
No, that's
takes
the
time.
worst.
Yeah.
What is the most exciting thing that you've ever realized about your writing process?
The most exciting. Well, actually, kind of on what I just said, um, I really have realized recently how much I enjoy it. And I'm not, for a long time, I always liked it, but it was almost like this thing recently where it clicked that when I'm not doing it, I missed it. And I'm excited to just be in the process. And I think I was in a bit of a funk when I wasn't writing. I think I was a bit kind of just plodding around the house, not really sure. I mean, I don't have a ton of free time on my hands because of my toddler, but when I did, I'd be like opening a book or trying to do things. But I miss that drive that it gave me. And the whole process, I think, just lights me up in a way that I've only recently started to appreciate.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And when we realize that and hang on to it, it's kind of it's like Dumbo's magical feather. It is what
Yeah.
makes us keep going back to the page. So, what part of the writing do you struggle with the most?
I think similar to what I just said about the mute, I can definitely go into a vortex. Like I can definitely, it can become all consuming to me, for better and for worse. I mean,
Mhm,
it's good if you want to get stuff written, but it's not so productive in day to day, everyday life
mhm,
when you kind of get consumed by a project. And I that definitely happens to me where I it's always on the back of my mind and I struggle to break free of it. And sometimes I don't give myself the distance I need. Um, I think I also, there's an insecurity, like I said, being terrified about my book coming out. I
mhm,
think imposter syndrome is very real with lots of writers. I'm not alone in this. I know so many people who feel the same as me.
mhm.
But I think I struggle to own the fact that I am a writer. I'm even struggling to say it now, but
I heard the pause there.
yeah, but there's that element I struggle with, and almost it's been really nice recently, like I said, knowing how much I enjoy the process because it almost adds an extra layer of justification to spending so
Mm,
much time on writing. Whereas
mhm,
before I was almost like spending so much time, but then I would feel guilty because I felt it was going to go nowhere and I was wasting it. Whereas recently I've taken that step back and seen it through in different eyes, and
mhm.
that's been really good to deal
This
with
is
all of those insecurities and imposter syndrome and all of the rest.
Yeah. Oh, I wish we could give that to everyone. That knowledge, that feeling of joy, that feeling of it is worth it, and you would go back
Yeah,
to it.
takes a
Yeah.
long time to get.
It
It's taken me a long time to get there at
it
least.
takes me a long time, and then I remember it, and then I forget it again. It's just always
Yeah.
remembering and forgetting. So, can you share a writing craft tip of any sort with us?
In terms of like things to help others when they're writing.
Yeah, it can be either
Um,
craft on the page or mindset, whatever you like.
for me, I think again, everyone writes in different ways, and I know other writers who are very particular about how they write. Like they sit down to write, and they'll spend ages on one sentence
Hmm.
and choosing the perfect word for the sentence. I'm the complete
I
opposite
am
end of the scale to
I'm the
that.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just when I write, like I said with the vortex, I just kind of write, and I can. There was one day I remember on this book that I recently finished where I think I look back and I wrote something like 8,000 words in one day, which when I read the words back, it was awful. Like it was terrible. Some of it didn't even make sense, but it was just splurging words
Yeah.
down, which I just need to get them out. Like I love the editing process. I love going back and then crafting it and changing it and playing with the words. But I can't do that at the start. First, I need to just get all of the words there, get all of the plot down, the ideas down before I then go back and kind of make sure that, choose the right words or see what I've missed or just make sure that some of it actually makes sense because there are parts where I'm like, I don't know what I was writing there, but it was something in that moment. But you get in that momentum.
Yeah.
I think it's if you're
Yeah.
in a momentum and if the words are coming out and you're moving, then don't stall that momentum to try and perfect. I think you're always going to have time to perfect, but don't stop that flow if you're in it because it's a precious thing to hold on to.
I could not agree with you more, and listeners to the show will know that I feel this way. But I I feel like I've gotten to a point in my writing where I slowed nothing. Like yesterday, I had no idea what my character's age was at that point, and I even skipped that. It would have taken 1 second to flip to the other page, and that was too much. I will
Yeah.
that she's X years old. I don't know what that is yet. What would you say to because I believe that for most writers, this is one of the best ways to go. I will go out on a limb and say it's the best way to go. Unless writers are writers who revise as they go and they are completing books that they're proud of, then that is their process. But if they're trying to revise as they go and they're not completing books, then you're just like the rest of us. You need to do a crappy draft and then edit it. But what always comes up with my students is, but I'm a perfectionist and it's so hard to let those terrible words land on the page because they make me feel so bad. Did you ever struggle with that? And how did you handle that?
Um, no, I didn't because of the mindset I'm in, but I'm also not a perfectionist. But I think if you are, you're perfect. I know people are perfectionists to themselves, but no one needs to read what you've written uh, straight
Yeah,
away. And in
no one
fact,
can.
I would
Yeah,
really advise, yeah, no one cares, but also like
yeah.
no one can, no one cares, but do it. Don't do it until it's ready. Don't do it until you're happy with it. But that doesn't have to be the first time you write. I don't think anyone is getting it exactly right the first time they do it.
No one, no
And I don't
one.
think it matters. I think the
Yeah.
whole, writing is built of many stages. One part is writing, but editing is as an important part of the process. And if you're getting it perfect the first time, then you're leaving no room almost for editing. And actually, that's part of the whole writing process. So I think, you can look at these things in different stages. Editing is where you perfect it. But first up, just get your idea out there and write.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Password protected if you are worried about dying and somebody accidentally seeing your manuscript. Password protect
Yeah,
the
yeah.
document if it's that bad. All right. What is the kindest thing that you've ever done for yourself as a writer?
I I mean, again, I think it's hard almost to be kind to yourself with all of these different things we've discussed.
Hmm.
When I was first writing, I have two manuscripts to books that I wrote 10 years ago, or maybe like 8 years ago, that will probably never see the light of day. Um, and I don't regret either of them because they were part of this writing journey where I was learning how to write, I was learning how to build characters, build plot, seeing where I was good and seeing the bits that I was really bad at.
Hmm.
But mid stage of one of those novels was when the pandemic hit, and I think the UK had a lot of lockdowns, but I think it was the second lockdown was over a winter in the UK, and my partner was away, and so I was in a London flat by myself, working, but I didn't have you weren't allowed out, so I used any other time to write and work on this book. And in that period, I came across online writing retreat, which I hadn't considered before, and I don't think the company that I went with, Arvon, did them before the pandemic.
Hmm.
But because I had a holiday to use up from my work, I decided to, invest in my writing, and I did a online writing retreat during the pandemic from this London flat, and it was honestly such a game changer. It still is a game changer for me now. Not that I necessarily am linked to it anymore, but firstly, there was an amazing writer who was leading the course, and he helped me a lot with the manuscript, but he made me see it in different ways. But also, there was other writers who were on that retreat, and after the course finished, we set up like a writing group, and we met weekly, or we met like twice a week for an hour on Zoom, and we'd all say hi, and then everyone would write in silence.
Hmm.
But it was just investing in that and being like, yeah, I'm actually going to trust myself or be confident enough to go for this writing retreat. And I was terrified on the first day. We had to like read some writing samples out, and I was absolutely terrified. But then it built this community which lasted for 6 months or so, that we would meet weekly. And, it was a really important mindset shift, I think, to do that. But it all came from, I guess, being kind to myself.
And and you believed enough in yourself to sign up for it and then show up on that first day.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long was
Yeah.
the writing retreat? Was it like like a weekend or was it a week or?
It was a week. It was
Yeah.
like a Monday to Friday. And I think it was good because on the first day, there were there was 10 of us maybe on it,
Hmm.
and everyone had to read. And I saw how terrified other people were as well.
Hmm.
And there were some writers there, books published with big five publishers or whatever. I saw how scared people were to read their own work. And I was like, oh, everyone kind of feels like this. And that was nice. Not
That's
that I was taking
gorgeous.
pleasure out of seeing their
You weren't
nervousness,
alone.
but
You
I
weren't
wasn't
alone.
alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And writing community and building that, I think, is a really important thing.
Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest.
Yeah,
We can't, I mean, we can do this alone. I know I wrote my first book alone, but I wish I hadn't. And I
yeah,
don't do anything alone anymore. The
no,
community is everything. And it makes it fun. It makes all of this fun.
yeah,
I'm, I'm so glad that
completely.
you have that. Can you tell us about a specific moment in your life when you knew you had ink in your veins?
And when I knew I had it, I mean, I mean, probably recently is when I first started to really.
Yeah.
I remember when my parents moved house about 10 years ago or something like that, and we were sorting out the house, and I remember finding in there, like going through all of my old things, I found this story that I had done when I was about 10. and it was a like shameless Lord of the Rings ripoff. Like I think Mordor, there was a place that was called Morden or something like that. It was really like there wasn't any subtlety in it. It was basically a retelling of Lord of the Rings. But I remember seeing it and reading it and it kind of making me smile and thinking,
Oh,
oh, I was writing back then.
yeah.
Um, but recently, I think I've started to own it more. Aside from the book, and I think rereading this short story collection as you do when editing it with the publisher, it's been nice because there's been bits of it where I'm like, oh, I really like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, other parts I feel like, oh, maybe I could have done better or whatever. But there are bits of it where I'm like, oh, wow, like I'm proud of that. And that was really nice feeling. And then I'm just like with the Writers Grotto that I mentioned earlier, like joining that community. I'm now a publicist for a lot of other writers. My wife and I and another artist, we run this writing residency, an artist residency down in Guatemala. So my life has become very literary, like bound in lots of ways. Like all of these different things now are kind of related to books. And so
Hmm.
I feel like now I am in that world. I have ink in my veins. It's like everything
Hmm.
is there now and I'm starting to own it more.
I love that. So you're really swimming in that now. It's the water that surrounds you, that you put
Yeah.
yourself in, that you've chosen to put yourself in. I was going to guide this us to this a little bit later, but let's do it now. Talk to me about the Guatemala residency because it looked really gorgeous. So it's kind of a retreat down in Guatemala that writers and or artists. Did you have also visual artists that could go there? Did I
Yeah.
see? Yeah.
It's something that's come around almost organically, but I used to live in Guatemala for like 4 years
Hmm.
in this kind of rural village on the Pacific coast. And I worked for, well, ran and helped run a nonprofit down there. I did communications work for this small nonprofit, and we worked in education and a load of other things. But back then, about 10 years ago, when there was kind of no tourism in this village, me and two others brought a piece of land in this village because we just kind of envisaged ourselves living there forever. We like loved the life there. We had a lot of different ideas. But then life changed as it does and went in different ways. But after the pandemic and needing a break from the UK, my partner and I, we went back to Guatemala and wanting to build a house there. So we kind of split the land with my friends and we all took a piece and we all did our own projects. And
Wow.
after building this house, yeah, so we all have different ideas and they've all kind of gone in different directions. And I have a lot of friends there, Guatemalans and like international extranjeros who are all doing different things. But we had this house and we were going to live there and for a longer period. But again, life changed and we wanted to do something productive with the house that we felt could be like beneficial. And I think because I used to work for the nonprofit, I had a very specific link to the community, and I wanted to encourage, or we wanted to encourage some positive tourism. The village is growing at a rapid rate at the moment. And so we had this beautiful space, and my wife is also a writer, and we were using it ourselves to write. So
Hmm.
then we were kind of like, well, why don't we invite other people here to come down and write and use it?
Hmm.
And at the start, it was just me reaching out to kind of musicians or writers who I liked and being like, hey, do you want to just come and stay at this house? Just no charge, just come and use it to try and draw creative, interesting people there, which then might draw their creative. I don't know.
Hmm.
That was the general idea. And then over the last 2 years, it's kind of formalized and grown. And we still invite people down and we offer which and we're building this up like scholarships to certain Guatemalan artists to try and encourage Guatemalans within the country and the diaspora to come down and use it. But then also we have open call for people to apply to come and stay. And it's this year I think we did five maybe residencies, and we do artist ones, which was like, and then also writing specific ones. And next year we want to expand it and grow it more. And it's an experiment. It's kind of a project that we're trying to see what works, what doesn't. But it's going well so far. And
It looks
yeah,
beautiful. I was having some lustful moments looking at it earlier. I
well,
will
we'll have to
link
get you
to
down there.
your. It's so far from me now, but
Yeah,
That's the
Everywhere is
problem.
far from New Zealand.
Everywhere is far from New Zealand, but I will link your site, of course, and the retreat because it even for the paid residencies where people pay, it seemed very reasonable, I have to say, in
Yeah,
terms
well,
of American
we want it to
dollars.
be,
Yeah,
yeah, we want to make it accessible. We want it to bring people like me, we always try and think of like, if I was in that position, I would want to visit something like that. So I want it to
exactly.
be that it's accessible to writers
Yeah,
like me, my wife, the other artist who runs it.
yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for telling us about that. Yeah, that sounds like ink in your veins for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Going a little bit sideways here. What is the best book that you've recently read, and why did you love it?
Um, I think I've got lots of answers to this. I feel like I've been
And
reading a
as give
lot.
us as much as you want.
Okay. I think the I think firstly, I think that the publishing industry recently, there's just been so many good books coming out. I think indie presses are leading a charge
Oh
right
yeah.
now. Like long live indie presses, but
Yep.
there's a lot of great fiction coming out. I didn't read this. I read this maybe a few years ago, but Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor is a book that I come back to again and again and again.
Hmm. I don't know
It's
that one.
so it's set in Mexico, in a small village in Mexico. It's honestly the darkest, kind of most twisted book I've read, but
That's saying a
maybe
lot.
like it's hard. It's hard, like American Psycho hard to read at times, where you kind of have to put the book down and take a break from it. But it's 8 chapters long, and each chapter barely has a period in it, like a full stop. It just is this relentless prose, each one through a different character's viewpoint.
Mm.
So you kind of can't put the book down. It doesn't let
Hmm.
you, even though you want to.
Hmm.
And I love it because of the book. It's a great book, but it also really showed me different ways to write as well. That I think we're often taught or we learn to write in these kind of traditional ways, like paragraph, sentence, speech mark, and this like blows all of those rules out the water. And and I was something that, you can do, it showed me that you could do other things differently.
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of the books maybe that I'll mention are similar. I recently read If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English by Noor Nagar,
Hmm.
if I've said that right. And again, it's like very experimental. The last section is almost like a MFA discussion about the book that we've just read, which I don't think would work for everyone, but it's interesting. I like it when people are trying stuff, when they're
Yeah, yeah.
doing things differently. So I love that. The Birthday Party by Laurent Mauvignier, I think is how you say his surname. He's French. But again, it's that kind of relentless, unbreaking prose. I'm drawn to a lot of books like that, I'm realizing, the more I read,
Do
and a
you
lot
think
of
that
international authors.
I love that. Do you think that that will display itself in your writing as well? Usually I'm drawn to something that I am about to try to undertake.
Yeah, in the book that I just did, I definitely have tried that more. Yeah, I definitely. I think as I said, like with Fernanda Melchor's book, it's really like I'm in awe of how kind of brave and fearless she is as a writer because I couldn't go to the places like I've still got that thing in the back of my head where I'm like, oh, my mom's gonna read this, and I think I push a boundary, but like she goes
Yeah.
beyond that. But it definitely has influenced the way I write and the themes that I take on in my writing and kind of where I want to push my writing to. I think it opens doors and lets you see things in different ways, and so I love that.
And I think that is what we should be doing with our writing. I mean, with our reading.
Yes.
Our reading should be pushing us. And sometimes you got to take a break and, read something just fun and pure froth, but otherwise
Yeah.
our reading should be pushing us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Speaking of reading, will you please tell us about your book that will be out in just a week or two?
Yeah, so it comes July the 17th
Mhm.
and is called And So I Took Their Eye. And it is a short story collection, though every story is interlinked. So it kind of like Visit from the Goon Squad almost, that
Mhm.
where every character is kind of linked to others and there is a running thread through the book. So even though it's a short story collection, it could almost be read as like a short novel because the first short story and the last short story are from the same character, and
Mm.
it draws you back by the end,
Mhm.
but it goes around the world in the process. So it begins with the finding of a body on the beaches of Guatemala, and then it spirals out from there and crosses the UK, Italy, Bolivia, and then quite a few are set in the Bay Area, where I'm based now. And yeah, there's 10 stories in total. I would say it's a very political book. I think about the state of the world today. I find it hard to keep that out of my writing or my thoughts on where the world is at. So it looks a lot about immigration and the way people are treating refugees. It looks at kind of these debates around toxic masculinity or kind of the more subtle ways I think toxic masculinity is presenting itself in the world. And also it kind of it looks at like almost at the performativeness of some liberal politics as well. So it's not the way that people like to present themselves in the reality of their behaviors.
Hmm.
Yeah, it explores a lot of those different types of themes. But yeah, it comes out very soon, and it's yeah coming from Bridge House Publishing, which is a small indie based in the UK.
So it will be available everywhere in the United States, which is where probably the
Yes.
majority of my listeners are, but they may have to walk in and order it from their local favorite bookstore or yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It will
perfect.
be online and hopefully in bookstores
Yeah,
as well.
fabulous.
So
That
yeah.
is so exciting. Again, may it fly from the shelves. May you have so much fun on both of your book release events. And thank you so much for being on the show. Will you please tell us where you can be found yourself online?
Yeah, so I'm on my website is www.bendaviesauthor.com, and then I also am on Instagram at Ben Davies Author and the Substack. The Substack is on again similarly Ben C Davies, but it also is linked to Studio Luce as well. So I think if you type that in, I kind of run it as a dual thing with the studio and with my own writing.
Perfect. Thanks so much for being here, Ben. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on. It's lovely to chat.